Welcome to the Stochastic MLB DFS Strategy Show. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I'm here with Adam Scherer. You can find him on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And this show is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy, your one-stop shop for all your best ball fantasy pick'em prop needs. Check out Underdog if you haven't already. Get your first deposit matched up to $100 using the link in the description of this video. Honestly, check it out if you haven't already. We're doing also, by the way, since Underdog is a sponsor, I feel it's a good time to mention you should also join our fantasy football / best ball YouTube channel. Search it. I don't have the link handy with me, but you should subscribe to that one if you haven't already. We are bringing it back this year, doing a lot of best ball content. I'm very excited about that. I know Laffy is going to be doing a lot. Kajeski, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff on the best ball channel. So check that out if you haven't already. We also have a podcast channel. We'd appreciate it if you subscribe and give us a 5-star rating on the podcast channel would help us out quite a bit. And of course, a lot of people joining the Stochastic Hall of Fame recently. If you want to join the Stochastic Hall of Fame, you just need to finish in the top 3 of a contest of 5,000 or more. It doesn't matter which contest it is. It could be a nickel contest. I don't know if they have penny contest, whatever it is. If you finish in the top 3 of a contest of 5,000 or more contestants, you have that Stochastic avatar. Go to stochastic.com/avatar to download the avatar. Make that your avatar on DraftKings and FanDuel. And then you just tweet at Stochastic Hall of Fame. Let us know about your win. Laffy will give you a shout out. You'll get a free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum. So if you have not yet got access, make sure that you sign up for the Stochastic Hall of Fame. Adam, how are your MMA lineups coming?
They are submitted. Appreciate the very long intro because that helped a lot.
I'm glad I could help you out there. By the way, you and I were doing daily shows 6 days a week. Now we stopped as of this past week. I'm no longer doing the morning show, thank God, because now it's super early in the morning. But I've noticed in this past week, since we haven't been doing shows, you've been kind of crushing it in DFS recently. I feel like you're on a bit of a hot streak. You just won 20,000 in PGA. You've also been like not even seemingly running that hot. I know you got like 8th in MLB just a couple days ago on the night when one of our users took first. You've been doing pretty well though, haven't you?
Yeah, not bad. Can't complain. I actually won the $3 20 max last night on DraftKings.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, held off 2 lineups by 1/10 of a point, so definitely ran good on that one. But yeah, finished like 16th in the massive $5, but took down the $3.
All right, yeah, that was I feel like that's the kind of slate where like maybe if it had been a regular slate instead of that massive $5, you could have won it. It's just there's 66,000, or I don't remember what the number is, but yeah, Stephen Lee would say Neil is bad. I think you started it while we were still doing shows. You had at least 1 or 2 wins, as of the week prior to. But yeah, congrats on that one. That's cool. Had not heard that.
Yeah, no, it's like I like those wins. Like obviously, in the grand scheme of things, like $3,000 win isn't that exciting, but like, or doesn't like make a big dent, but it always feels good like winning, a 3 max or a 20 max or something where just the smaller field stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Or smaller, not even smaller field, smaller, like fewer entry fee.
And yeah, smaller MME, whatever. Yeah, whatever you want to call that. Yeah, I got 3rd in that one on Wednesday, and it's funny because I think it was Wednesday. Yeah. I literally just used the lineup from the lineup generator. It was the night that I did the Twitter takeover of the Stochastic MLB account. So I had gone into it planning like I'm going to use the Sims and stuff. But then when I tweeted out like from the Stochastic account and I said like, ask me anything, I got more like questions than I thought I was going to. So I didn't really have time to get into like doing the Sims and stuff. So I was just like, all right, screw it. I'll just use the lineup generator. End up getting 3rd in that same contest. It was $3 20 max, which was kind of cool to do with 0 effort on my part, just using the lineup generator. Today, though, we have a big slate to talk about. We've got we'll do both this is the only show in town today. So we're going to be doing both the early slate and the main slate. So a total of 14 games to get through. I do have to first note, as News God points out, how is Adam wearing flannel and Neil isn't? Adam, is it cold where you are, or like are you just boiling right now?
No, it's like shitty rainy weather, but no, I mean I have the AC on and just feels comfortable.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, it's if I were wearing a flannel right now, I would be sweating.
It's also not flannel. It's like it's not that heavy.
Okay. All right. All right, before we jump into it, if you guys have not yet checked out the Sims tool, you should check it out. It is a fantastic tool. Looks like we don't have the actual ROIs in it yet, so I think it's just because it's a little bit too early in the day. what we're looking at here is the post-contest simulator. At some point today, you're going to be able to look at this, see what your simulated ROI would have been for all of your lineups, what your actual ROI was, et cetera, for everybody in the contest, not just yours. But it's a very, very cool tool. This is just the post-contest simulator, which is obviously the less exciting part of the Sims tool. We also have the pre-contest simulator where you can make a bunch of lineups, up to 2,000 lineups, enter them in here, and then simulate contests of those 2,000 lineups against each other. Really powerful tool. Check it out if you haven't already. It is a very, very cool tool. Nothing else like it in the industry. But we better get into this slate because we do have 14 games to get through, Adam. I guess I better go to the early slate first. And of course, the first game on the early slate is Seattle at your Orioles. Bryce Miller on the mound for the Mariners. Dean Kramer for the Orioles. Adam, any interest in these pitchers?
Possibly in Miller. I'm pulling everything up now, but he is up to $9,500. It is a negative park shift for him. It is warm in Baltimore. I mentioned that it's kind of cloudy and ugly out now, but 87 degrees outside as well. So tough spot, 9,500. Probably not going to get there too often. Certainly not expecting to get to much Kramer at 8,700. I don't know how that price tag happened.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Oh yeah, we do have this. Wait, do we have the London game on this slate? Someone in chat was just asking about who likes overs on the under.
It's a standalone game.
Okay, all right. So we're not going to talk about that one. But yeah, over is probably. I haven't seen what the line is. All right. Well, how much interest do you have in the bats in this Baltimore game?
Definitely interested in the bats here. Both teams with about a 4.5 implied run total. We know Miller's got good stuff. He is a few starts removed from not pitching higher than Double-A though, so there is obviously some risk for him, some unknowns, and you just have a lot of left-handed power in the Orioles lineup in a park that plays up left-handed power, so that's going to look pretty good. On the other side for Seattle, again, a lineup that they do have strikeouts in their lineup. If Kramer were cheaper, maybe I'd be a little bit interested, but they also have power. Kelenic and Raleigh, if he's in the lineup, are your two real left-handed power bats here that can take advantage of Camden Yards. The rest of the power is right-handed Rodriguez, France, Hernandez, Suarez, but they still obviously can do damage. We saw last night that they can still come through. 13 runs scored last night. So I think both stacks are pretty appealing. It's kind of a tricky one because I think that Kramer is probably a little bit more favorable matchup, but the park plays a lot better to Baltimore's strengths. So I think I would lean toward Baltimore here.
Any weather? You just mentioned that it is rainy there in Baltimore. Do you have you checked out any real weather concerns for the game?
No, it should be fine.
I like that you look out. I don't know if you were looking out your window, but it looked like you looked out your window to decide if it was.
No, I was looking at the forecast, but my window is also over there, obviously.
Yeah. How would you rank the four sides of the game?
I think Baltimore, Seattle, Miller, Kramer.
All right. Game 2 of the early slate, we have Arizona at San Francisco. Merrill Kelly on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Ryan Walker for the Giants. Any interest in the pitchers?
A little bit in Kelly just because he is a good pitcher. Not a good matchup, though. The Giants do strike out quite a bit, which is nice, but also a very good offense. The park downplays power, but Kelly's also $10,100, so I think it's going to be pretty tough to pay that salary, most likely. Looking at the top pitchers tool on DraftKings, we do have Kelly first in top 2 pitcher percentage at 20%, but still only pulling around 16% ownership. So sets up as a spot where maybe going a little bit under-owned, and if you are stacking cheaper teams and can get there, then great. But there's also a lot of like 8 to 10K range guys that look like they're going to get a little bit more ownership.
Okay. What about the bats in this one?
I mean, Arizona's a good offense. You're facing a bullpen game here for the Giants. Don't know who's going to follow Ryan Walker. I know the other day the guest was Sean Manaea, didn't even enter the game. So that's always the risk with these bullpen games. But it's not ideal going up against the bullpen game, but you do just have a good Arizona offense. They are middle of the pack in top stack percentage at 4%, only pulling 2% ownership. So going a little bit under owned. I think they're sort of just a secondary stack. On the other side for the Giants, not overly interested. The bottom of their order is pretty cheap. So as a whole, the stack's going to be pretty inexpensive. Only one guy in the projected lineup north of 5K. But Kelly's just a good pitcher. And he's always been good, or at least pretty good at limiting production. Now the strikeout numbers are up as well. Only a 140 expected ISO to righties, 165 to lefties, about a 27% K percentage to both sides of the plate. San Francisco is third from the bottom in top stack percentage. They're not that cheap overall. Obviously, like I said, you can use the bottom of the order to balance it out, but like for a team that is third from the bottom in top stack percentage. They're not like Oakland cheap or anything.
Okay. How would you rank the four sides of the game?
Kelly, D-backs, Giants pitching.
All right. So the boy from Cali asking us, would you play both pitchers in the London game? I went to look at it just to answer this question. I'm not playing the slate. I hadn't looked at it, but I am seeing 1% ownership on Adam Wainwright, 12% on Justin Steele for this showdown game. It's a really tough park in London for pitchers. So I don't know, because of the low ownership, I might consider it. But I don't have a strong take. I haven't really looked that closely.
This game has a 13.5 total.
Yeah. So it's, but I mean, 1% ownership going to Adam
you
Wainwright.
meant tough. You said tough for pitchers. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah. It's tough for, I don't know what I said, but I meant tough for pitchers. Yeah. It's a huge total in that game, but 1% ownership to Adam Wainwright, 12% to Justin Steele. I think you could certainly play both pitchers potentially. But honestly, I don't play MLB showdown, so I can't give you a great answer, but that does seem like relatively low ownership. I mean, so maybe is the answer.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't even have anything to give you. Like, I don't play showdown outside of once in a while in the postseason. So I don't have any grasp on any of it. I don't know anything about this park. I don't know anything about this game.
Okay. Did I already ask you to rank the four sides? I think I did.
Yeah.
Okay. Jack Me Hugh. Is that Jack Me Hugh? Yo. All right. Next up, we have Mets at Phillies. Max Scherzer on the mound for the Mets. Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
Yeah, Scherzer coming in at 8,900. Decent spot against Philly. 4.5 implied run total for the Phillies, but pretty cheap price tag for Scherzer at 8,900. The strikeout stuff is still decent for him. Not as good as it was a couple of years ago, maybe, but still can get some strikeouts overall this year. 25.7% K percentage, 4.07 xFIP. Philly's obviously a dangerous offense. It's a dangerous park for pitching, but decent spot at that price tag. We have him second in top two pitcher percentage. We have him second in ownership at 31%. So it's kind of a scary spot, but Scherzer should probably just be a little bit more expensive. On the other side, Christopher Sanchez, 6,700. Projects to just be a middle of the road, slightly below average pitcher at this point. His salary's come up about $1,000 since last start. He's got a tough matchup with the Mets, so not much interest there.
All right. How about the bats in this game?
Yeah, 5-run implied total for the Mets. Phillies at 4.5. So I think you're going to the Mets side first. Obviously, Sanchez not as good a pitcher, most likely as Scherzer. Not a huge sample size for him at all. Less than 100 pitches thrown to both sides of the plate this year. If you go back to last year, 180 expected ISO to righties, sub 100 to lefties. Not too surprising there. Starling Marte is going to look good at 3,600. Alonso looks great at 5,200. Pham is cheap. Alvarez is going to look like one of the best catcher plays. Mets are pretty appealing here. We have them third in top stack percentage at about 8%, about 11% ownership, but not really going that over-owned when you consider the value aspect. We have them with a 9% chance of being top value stack, which is third. And the only teams ahead of them are the Pirates and the A's. So obviously you're talking about different levels in terms of quality of offense. So even though the ownership percentage is a little bit higher than the top stack percentage, the value makes it so that they're really not going that much over-owned.
Okay. And how would you rank the four sides of the game?
Scherzer, Mets, Phillies, Sanchez.
Okay. All right, that's 3. Let's go for another one. Texas at New York. We've got John Gray on the mound for the Rangers, Luis Severino for the Yankees. Any interest in the pitchers?
Some in Gray. 9,700 is pretty expensive, but we have seen him get back in line with what he's done previously in his career after a slow start to the season. He's also only getting 6% ownership, which is really interesting. Every pitcher ahead of him in top two pitcher percentage, there's 5 of them, is getting at least 16% ownership. And then you have Gray just coming in at 6. So it tells me that the pricing is probably a little aggressive and it's kind of tough to get there and prioritize him. You do have, a better strikeout pitcher in Paxton for $600 more. You have Scherzer as a better value option. You have Barrios at $200 more facing Oakland. So I understand why he's not getting that much ownership, but the range of outcomes gap isn't that big between these guys. The Yankees do still have a weak offense with no Aaron Judge. So from a tournament standpoint, I think Gray looks okay.
Okay. How about the bats in this game?
I like Texas. You get a park that is third for left-handed home runs over the last 3 years, fourth for right-handed home runs, one of the best offenses in baseball, going up against Severino, who It's a pretty big question mark at this point, exactly what he is. So far this year, he's only struck out 13% of lefties with a 223 expected ISO. Righties have a 235 expected ISO with a 25.5% K percentage. He has not been good at all at limiting power so far. That obviously can turn around at any point. He's got a long track record of being a good pitcher, but I'll certainly take my chances on Texas here. As far as the Yankees go, I think that's a more difficult sell. Gray is just a good pitcher. It's still a good hitter's park if you want to take shots on Bowers, Torres, Stanton, Rizzo, but not many good hitters in this lineup and the tough matchup with Gray.
Okay. How would you rank the four sides of the game?
Texas, Gray, Yankees, Severino.
Okay. Perfect. I want to take a moment here and let's talk about Underdog just a little bit. They are the sponsor of this show. I'm very excited about Underdog being the sponsor of this show because I play a ton of best ball. I think that you guys would love it if you have not yet checked it out. Best ball is a ton of fun. Of course, Underdog is your one-stop shop, as I said, for not just best ball. You also get pick'em contests over there on Underdog if you're in a non-legal betting state. You got fantasy. They have daily contests, but of course, what I am most excited about is the best ball, and we're going to be doing a ton of content about it. So if you have not yet signed up for Underdog, highly recommend doing so. You can get your first deposit matched up to $100 by signing up using the link that I just put into chat or the description of this video. Of course, you must be 18 plus to play, 21 plus in Massachusetts or Arizona, 19 plus in Alabama or Nebraska. Honestly, though, you got to check out Underdog if you haven't already. Just put the link into chat. It is so much fun. I've been just playing a ton of best ball, and I put it up on the screen. Yeah, so you can see here, this is just the Best Ball Mania 4 contest. So if you put $100 in, you can get 8 entries into Best Ball Mania 4. It's a $15 million prize pool, $3 million to first in the playoffs, $1 million second. It's also, they have, I think, 10,000. The top 10,000 in the regular season also get money this year, including, I believe it is $1 million to first for the regular season as well. So a new addition this year to Best Ball Mania 4. It's not just the playoffs. I guess they had last year, they had just the top prize won $1 million, which was pretty brutal for anybody who was close but didn't get there. This year, they do have good big money to the top 10,000 in the regular season as well. Check it out if you haven't already. Actually, let me pull up the I'm going to get the link to, and I don't even know if this is going to work, putting a link to a different YouTube channel in this channel, but I want to give you guys the link to the fantasy football channel as well. Make sure you subscribe to that one because we're going to be doing a ton of content about best ball this year. Me and Lofty and Gajeski in particular. I don't know. We might have guests on from time to time. I don't know if I'll get Adam on, if he'll be willing to join at some point. We'll see. We're going to be doing a ton of best ball content. I'm very excited about it. So
for best ball, I'll do it. I'll say I'm still not getting on high stakes with you.
Oh, you will do best ball though. I mean, I'll take it. I'll get you to do a draft with me, and I'll just ask all my high stakes questions while we're drafting. It'll be great. Yeah. So hopefully Adam will come on the best ball channel at some point this summer as well. But check it out if you haven't already. I put the link for Underdog into chat. It's also in the description of this video. You can get your first deposit matched up to $100. All right. Next game on this slate, we have the A's at the Blue Jays. Hogan Harris on the mound for the A's. Jose Barrios for the Jays. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
Barrios, yeah. 9,900 taking on Oakland. It's a tough park to pitch in. It's a positive park shift for the A's bats, but Barrios is a solid pitcher. We've seen him get back to form so far this season for the most part. Still only striking out 21.5% of hitters, 4.1 xFIP, but has pitched a little bit better than previous years. One thing I do want to keep an eye on is what lineup the A's run out, because Barrios does have issues with left-handed power, although he has also had issues with right-handed power. Last year, he had really bad issues with lefties where he allowed a 223 expected ISO. This year, it's only 175. Righties are actually 183. But we saw Oakland run out a really sharp lineup against Bassett yesterday, about as good a lineup as Oakland can put together against Bassett, where they just loaded it with lefties at the top. I don't know that they do that again today. It would mean Ruiz doesn't play 2 days in a row. But interested to see what the lineup looks like. Either way, though, 3.2 implied run total. Barrios is going to look pretty good. He is currently projected for 17% ownership at 9,900. That is an expensive price tag for his strikeout percentage, but for the most part on this slate, the pitching is just pretty expensive. We saw it with Dean Kramer. We saw it with Bryce Miller. These are guys that we've been rostering at times this year when they're $1,000 or $1,500 less expensive. So everything's relative. You know, Berrios being 9,900, like, yeah, that's an expensive price tag for Berrios, but there's not really any glaring mispricing on the pitchers at the top. So kind of have to take what's available.
Sure. Michael Pavlik just gave us the like stream elements thing. Thank you for the reminder, Michael. I had not hit the like button, so I just followed your advice and went and hit that like button. Also, I want who was it that said he's balls deep? Somebody said they're balls deep in best ball. Tank the Chai guy. I'm balls deep in best ball. I'm also balls deep in. I'm belly button deep. I don't even know how you can go deeper. I'm very deep into the best ball streets already. It's very fun. All right, how about the bats in this game? Any interest in the Toronto or A's bats?
Yeah, I mean, you've got a ton of right-handed power here in Rogers Center going up against the lefty and Hogan Harris. Harris projects to be fine in the majors, but this is obviously a really tough matchup for him. 5.8 implied run total for Toronto. We have them 5th in stack score, 6% chance of being the top stack, 4% chance of being the top value stack. If you can find the salary to get to them, great. It may be a little bit more difficult than usual just because, like I was just saying, with the pitcher pricing is actually pretty aggressive today. But you do have some value in this lineup that you can use. Danny Jansen, if he's in the lineup, is pretty cheap. Varsho's sub 4K, Merrifield sub 4K. So, you know, the only guys that you're truly paying up for are Springer, Bichette, Guerrero over 5K. So probably still doable to get to Toronto stacks. And it's certainly a good spot here against Harris and then a very weak Oakland bullpen.
Okay. And how would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Jays, Berrios, A's, Harris.
All right. Up next, we have Kansas City at Tampa Bay. Jordan Lyles on the mound for Kansas City. Yanni Chirinos for Tampa Bay. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
Not much. Chirinos is only 6,600. It is a good matchup with Kansas City. I think you could use him as a value pitcher. He's getting 9% ownership, 10% chance of being a top 2 value. It's a good pitcher's park. There's nothing really exciting there. It's just that it's Kansas City. It's a good pitcher's park, and he's cheap. So I don't mind using Chirinos a little bit, but so far this year, only striking out 16% of righties, 6% of lefties. 173 expected ISO to righties, 204 to lefties. He hasn't been very good. So it's not one of those cheap guys where I'm going in saying like, wow, this guy's mispriced. It's more so like, hey, this guy might be useful in some lineups. Jordan Lyles is just flat out bad, and he's facing one of the best offenses in baseball.
All right. How about the bats in this game?
Yeah, Tampa Bay looks really good despite the park. Obviously, you wish that they were playing somewhere else, but Jordan Lyles is just pretty much done at this point in his career. His job is to just go eat innings and pitch every 5 days. 232 expected ISO to lefties, 223 to righties, sub 20% strikeout percentage to both sides. Tampa Bay has been great all year long. 130 WRC plus is against right-handed pitching is the best in baseball. 196 ISO is 3rd highest against right-handed pitching behind only the Braves and the Angels. And that's, Shohei Ohtani. So that's cheating. Just really, really good spot. Sorry, really good spot, really good offense. They are coming in the middle of the pack in stack score because they're so expensive. But in terms of top stack percentage, they're 4th, only trailing Atlanta, Cincy, and the Mets. So it's really just a matter of, can you find the salary to get to this team?
Did Wander Franco get benched or something? Steven asked wondering if Wander will get back today. Jake says that he got benched. Did he?
Yeah, he got benched for, they said at least 2 games for not handling frustrating situations correctly and being a shitty teammate.
Nice. I totally missed that. Is he still going to be benched today then, or did he already serve those 2 games? Okay, so yeah, we'll find out if he is back.
All
right.
This game starts at 4:10. The slate starts at 4:05, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. How would you rank the 4 sides of this game?
Tampa, Chirinos, KC, Lyles.
All right. Stephen Leibowitz, you're advertising another YouTube channel on our YouTube channel. That is just rude, but I do love Spags, and hopefully, if we do get some guests on, I think we're going to get some guests on. I'll definitely be reaching out to Spags. All right. Next up, we have Atlanta at Cincinnati. Jared Schuster on the mound for the Braves. Graham Ashcraft for the Reds. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
No. This looks like a pretty good game for offense. We have a 12-run total here. 6.3 implied run total for Atlanta. 5.7 for the Reds. We've rostered Ashcraft at times this year. We've rostered Schuster at times. I don't think this is going to be one of those times.
Okay. Did you say 12 run implied total?
12. That
is insane. All right. Well, with that in mind, any interest in the bats in this game?
Yeah, I hate when Josh is right. We were DMing about something the other day. It was a slate in in Cincinnati, and he said he didn't understand the ownership on some pitcher. It was when Ben Lively pitched. He said he didn't understand the ownership on some pitcher, that he would never be as popular as he was if the game were in Coors. And I'm like, well, yeah, the game's not in Coors. And he's just like, it basically is. And you go and look at park factors, and it's really not a big difference between Coors and Cincinnati over the last 3 years, which is crazy. And now you're getting, the Braves, who have been one of the best offenses, and then the Reds, who are on fire and have De La Cruz and just have all this young talent that is coming together all at once. So the offenses look great. Atlanta going up against Ashcraft, 6.3 implied run total. That looks fantastic. 15% K percentage, 170 expected ISO to righties this year for Ashcraft. He's been better at limiting power to lefties, only a 118 expected ISO, 19.5% K percentage. But Ozzy Albies, Matt Olson obviously are really good. You can play Rosario and Harris for relatively cheap as well. The Braves are currently first in top stack percentage at 20%. Like, that number is maybe a little aggressive, but also clearly directionally, like, they are far and away the best stack here. 16% projected ownership. Reds coming in at second, 9% chance of being the top stack, 10% projected ownership. You're going to get a lot of ownership here. Neither team is super cheap or anything, but if you can find the salary, this is a fantastic game to get to.
Do you think Ellie De La Cruz is going to win an MVP in his career?
Yes.
Yeah, he seems like the real deal. Cycle, yes, that's cool to see him just crushing it already as a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the answer should have been no. Like,
right, it's like the odds are probably not.
If you just give me even money, I'm taking no. But
right.
Obviously, of the people that, like, if you have to pick someone who's going to win an MVP in their career, he is towards the top of the list.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you put any Orioles ahead of him on that list?
Gunnar.
You put Gunnar
and
ahead of him.
Okay. No, not Adley. He's 25. He's a catcher. Gunnar, though.
Okay. That's I have no idea if that is homerism.
Being a homer.
Right. I have no idea if it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're really, like, you have Corbin Carroll, you have Gunnar Henderson, you have De La Cruz. They're all just super young, super talented, good at everything. Like,
right. Yeah, it's a fun time. Like, if only Major League Baseball knew how to advertise their product, like, they would be crushing it right now with all this young talent.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're getting a little bit better at it, but they still suck. Like, at least they let them, like, have fun now. Like, what was it? 5-10 years ago, if you showed any emotion, you just had, like, you had every commentator complaining about it. You had players complaining about it.
Right. Yeah, they're getting better. But, like, Shohei Ohtani should be a household name. Like, to us he is, but, like, he's so fun. Like, he's not only, like, ridiculously good both at batting and pitching, but he's also got, like, a great personality, and I feel like people just don't even really know who he is. I feel like it's a missed opportunity.
Already Holmes said Ellie is better than Gunnar already. Ellie's been in the league for like 2 weeks, so
he might be, but it's a very small sample size. Who knows? And EMAC, if you prefer the written word, after the show is over, go read EMAC's pitchers and top stacks spotlight. Always a good read. Check it out as well. EMAC put it in chat, of course, so you can find it there. But otherwise,
if Ellie were on the Orioles and Gunnar were on the Reds, I would say Ellie was better. And if Carroll was on the Orioles and Gunnar was on the Diamondbacks, I would say Carroll was better.
Randy's always trolling me about my Minnesota. Cannot say the same for the Twins. Royce Lewis, ever heard of him? He's potential Hall of Famer for sure. All right. Did you rank the four sides of this game? Cincinnati,
Braves, Reds, Schuster, Ashcraft.
All right. Next up, we've got the Battle of the Sox. James Paxton on the mound for the Red Sox. Lance Lynn for the White Sox. Any interest in the pitchers?
Yeah, Paxton 10-3 looks like one of your best pitching options on the slate. He is only getting 18% ownership since he is relatively expensive, and you do have these offenses that we want to pay for. But about a 33% strikeout percentage this year, 32.7%, 3.08 xFIP. A lot of right-handed hitters in the White Sox lineup, so they will have the platoon advantage in most spots, but that's never really mattered for Paxton. This year, a 36% K percentage to righties, only 21.5 to lefties, so not like it's a disadvantage or anything. They do have a 4.3 implied run total. It is a good hitter's park. It is mid-80s, so good hitting weather, but just a really, really good pitcher. The only real question is how much of him can you get to, because you do have the expensive Braves and Rays and Blue Jays and Reds. We haven't talked about a really good stack yet that isn't expensive.
Right. Okay. Any interest in the bats in this game?
Not a ton. And I didn't mention Lynn, but 7,800, he is pulling ownership. Not a great matchup for him against the Red Sox, but only 7,800. He's actually projected to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate at 37%. 17% chance of being a top 2 pitcher is the 4th highest. 18% chance of being top 2 value is tied for the highest with Christopher Sanchez. So from a value standpoint, Lynn's going to look good, even though it is a risky spot against the Red Sox. That being said, don't mind getting you some bats from this game. Yoshida and Devers, power hitters from the left side. That's always been Lance Lynn's issue, and this year has not been an exception. 268 expected ISO to lefties for Lynn, only 135 to righties. Yoshida and Devers, of course, are expensive, but you can also go to Jarren Duran. You can go to Tristan Casas for cheap if you are just trying to pick off a home run here or there.
Okay. Jake Swell says the Rays giving out free beers for Randy Land on Friday nights every time he gets a hit is exceptional marketing. Yeah, that's fun. That's a fun thing that I guess the Rays are doing. I didn't know about that. How would you rank the 4 sides of the Sox game?
Paxton won, but like Lynn's probably the one you're going to get to more just because he's cheaper. So however you want to do that. Red Sox 3, White Sox 4.
All right. Pittsburgh at Miami. We have Osvaldo Bido on the mound for the Pirates. Brian Hoeing for the Marlins. Any interest in these pitchers?
Not too much. It is a good pitcher's park. You do have decent pricing here. Bido coming in at 7,400. He is somebody that's kind of difficult to talk about because he was pretty much garbage for his entire minor league career. And then a couple seasons ago, you saw an uptick in strikeout percentage. You saw an uptick in walk percentage. Like he's just totally changed everything. So far through his first 2 major league starts, the strikeouts have been there. The walks have been there. So, facing a below average offense in Miami in a good pitcher's park, I could see the case for getting him at 7,400. He's getting 6% ownership, kind of similar to Chirinos, where you're not actually looking to get to him, but he's cheap enough where he could be useful. He can help you get to some of the more expensive offenses. And one thing I didn't even notice when we talked about the Yankees-Texas game, we actually have Severino projected for 25% ownership. I don't know if that ends up being the case, but I have no issue taking a guy facing the Marlins at 1/4 the ownership of the guy facing the Rangers. So I think the potential here for a nice pivot away from what apparently is a popular Severino in a brutal matchup. Brian Hoeing at 6,900, only getting 1% ownership. I think I would get the Bido first.
The Pirates only have a 3.5 run implied total. That's kind of interesting. All right. Any interest in these bats in Miami?
Not really. I mean, you have so many good offenses on this slate, so many good hitting environments. Weather's getting warmer, so outdoor games are just going to play better for offense. And then you have this game in Miami. Probably not going to be getting into too much offense.
Yeah, tough spot here. All right, final game of the early slate is Milwaukee at Cleveland. Freddie Peralta on the mound for the Brewers. Tanner Bibby for the Guardians. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
9,300 for Peralta against a weak Cleveland team. They are tough to strike out, though. You have quality strikeout stuff for Peralta, 25.5% K percentage, 4.14 xFIP. He's projected for no ownership right now, 1.5% with a 12% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. So kind of similar to John Gray, where there's other guys you're going to prioritize over him, but he's not getting any ownership, and there is a ceiling there. Tanner Bibby, good strikeout matchup against Milwaukee. Looks like one of the best mid-range pitchers. I'm actually a little surprised that he's getting like half the ownership of Lynn, because it is a good strikeout spot against Milwaukee. It's a less dangerous lineup than the Red Sox are. It's a better pitcher's park than Lance Lynn has. 3.9 implied run total for the Brewers. So I do like Bibby quite a bit at 8,100.
Bibby, is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, I learned that the other day.
All right. I guess it makes sense. Like Bibby would be double B probably in the middle, but
yeah.
All right. How about the bats in this game? Any interest?
Not really. Another park that's just tough to hit in. 2 quality pitchers. I don't really see it.
All right. How would you rank the 4 sides?
Bibby, Peralta, Jose Ramirez, Christian Yelich.
Okay. 3 favorite stacks on the early slate.
Oh, is that the entire slate? Wow.
That is the entire early slate. Yeah, we still have to get through the main slate. It's, for some reason, today they decide the 4-game slate is the main slate.
Sure. Atlanta, Cincy, Tampa. Or Atlanta, Cincy, Toronto. I'll go Toronto just because they're in the better park.
It's kind of funny how they decide what is the main slate on a given day. I totally missed it on Wednesday, and as you know, the lineup generator only does main slate currently, and I'm supposed to be doing a lineup generator video every day. I did not do one on Thursday because I completely missed that the main slate was a noon lock for me, and I had stuff going on in the morning. But today they've got the main slate as a 4-gamer. All right, 3 favorite pitchers on this early slate.
Bibee, Paxton, Scherzer.
Home run pick.
Acuna.
Yeah, our only rule is no Coors. Like, it almost feels like cheating going to that game, but we're allowing it. I'm gonna go with who's pitching for the Reds? Graham Ashcraft. All right, I am going to go with Matt Olson as my home run pick. All right, so we have made it through the early slate. Let's jump on over to the 4-game main slate. Pull that up. All right, first game of the main slate, we have Houston at LA. Rono Blanco on the mound for the Astros. Bobby Miller for the Dodgers. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
Yeah, Houston, not the best strikeout matchup, even without Alvarez, but the lineup's a lot weaker without him, similar to what you've seen with the Yankees without Judge. Bobby Miller's very talented. He's been solid so far for the Dodgers since coming to the majors. 24.6% K percentage, 3.8 xFIP, 3.9 implied run total for Houston looks pretty good. So definitely interested in Miller. Not overly interested in Blanco. Really tough matchup against the Dodgers. Obviously, with it being a 4-game slate, probably get to him some if you're playing a bunch of lineups. But Miller's the guy that I would be actively looking to get to.
Okay. Jake thinks that we're cheating by taking a Braves player. Says you can't pick a Brave or a Red. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an arbitrary rule that we say only Coors Field is off limits.
Yeah, I'll take Nathaniel Lowe.
Okay. Nathaniel Lowe backup. I already forgot who was on the early slate, so I'm not going to go back and look at it. But there's one more that you can consider taking. All right, how much interest in the bats in this Dodgers game?
Definitely interested in the Dodgers side of things. Blanco's nothing special. Dodgers coming in third in top stack percentage, third in ownership. It's kind of just it's the Dodgers. It's a lot of good hitters at the top. It's a lot of good enough and cheap hitters at the bottom. They're just going to look pretty good. On the other side for Houston, I think you can make the case with it being a 4-game slate that maybe you just get to them because they do have talent at the top of their order. I mean, they have talent throughout the lineup, but particularly at the top of the order. And you have Bobby Miller getting 47% ownership. But outside of the ownership leverage case, I don't really see it for Houston. Obviously, Bregman, Tucker, Altuve are the guys you're going to first, but Miller has been good. It's just one of those where, like last night, we had the 3-game night slate. And I know, my approach was to have a lot against the Dodgers against Sheehan. I had a lot against Musgrove. Obviously didn't work out, but you kind of just end up playing smaller slates that way a little bit more. But outside of those considerations, not really interested in Houston.
Okay, I went back to look at who I like from the early slate. I want to go with Julio Rodriguez if I can't go to Great American Ballpark for a less cheap option. All right, how would you rank the 4 sides of this Dodgers game?
Miller, Dodgers, Astros, Blanco.
All right. Next up, we've got my Twins at Detroit. Pablo Lopez on the mound for the Twins. Reese Olson for the Tigers. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
Olson's pulling 38% ownership. It is a good strikeout matchup against the Twins. It is also a dangerous matchup. They can certainly hit. Olson as a starter so far in a limited sample, 26% K percentage, 3.4 xFIP. He's inexpensive at 6,900, 33% chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher, 40% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. So don't mind getting there. I will say that he's probably getting a little bit more ownership than he should relative to Blanco. 27% chance of being a top 2 pitcher for Blanco compared to 33% for Olson, but more than a 2-to-1 ownership gap. So that is one spot you could potentially look to pivot a little bit in larger field tournaments. But Olson does look like the best value pitcher available. On the other side, Pablo Lopez is the best pitcher available. 9,300 taking on a terrible Detroit team. 66% projected ownership, 49% chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher. 29.5% K percentage, 3.5 xFIP this year. Really, really, really good. The only real argument for not getting to him would just be he's 66% owned. Maybe you're going to look elsewhere, but certainly projects as the best pitcher. You have a predominantly right-handed projected lineup for the Tigers. Lopez so far this year against righties, striking out 33.7%. 24.6% of lefties. Doesn't get hit hard by either side of the plate, but has been better against righties with that higher strikeout percentage. So the lineup sets up nicely for him as well.
All right. Any interest in the bats in this game?
The Twins are somewhat interesting. Olsen, certainly not proven at the major league level or anything. 262 expected ISO in a limited sample this year to righties. Hasn't given up anything to lefties, but that'll probably change. 4.5 implied run total for the Twins. Don't mind getting to them. They are relatively inexpensive as well. The only guys in their projected lineup north of 5K on DraftKings are Correa at 4,500, Buxton at 5,400. Everybody else is free. So they are a pretty high upside team that would allow you to very easily get to Pablo Lopez and Bobby Miller, for example. The issue just becomes, how popular is that combination?
All right. How would you rank the four sides of the game?
Lopez, Twins, Olsen, Tigers. But if you flip Olsen and Twins, that's fine.
Okay. EMAC throwing Tristan Casas out there as his home run pick. Yeah, it seems like an okay one as well. Let's talk a little bit about BetPro. If you guys have not, if you are in a legal betting state, you should check out BetPro. I think I've got it pulled up here. I tried to at least. Yeah, it looks like I've got it pulled up. This is BetPro. What you see on the screen here just gives you all the information you want on the best bets of the day across sportsbooks. If you only play on certain sportsbooks, you can, of course, filter to just the sportsbooks that you play on. It'll show you the best props available on those sportsbooks. Really cool tool here. Shows you, the projection that we have, what the line is, odds of winning, how much we would recommend betting on a given bet. Very cool tool here. And Adam, I think 5 days a week. Do you still do your BetPro video 5 days a week, Adam?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you also want to check out Adam's video on BetPro, check that out as well. But yeah, check out BetPro if you haven't already. The link is in the description of this video. We're gonna get back to the slate. All right. But you should check out BetPro if you haven't already. All right. Next up, we've got just 2 games left, I guess, on the main side. I was thinking that we had to rush, but we only have 2 games left. We got through those first 12 games of the day pretty quickly. Next up, we've got Washington at San Diego. Josiah Gray on the mound for the Nats. I don't see a pitcher here for the Pods. Do you know who's pitching? Let me see.
Looks like Matt Waldron, maybe.
All right.
Who's not playable.
Okay. So, yeah. So we don't have to worry about a pitcher for the Pods. Any interest in Josiah Gray?
Some in tournaments, just again as an Olsen pivot. He's not a pitcher that you're typically going to be looking to get to. The Padres aren't typically an offense that you're looking to take pitchers against, but it's just, if 40% of the field or whatever it is going to go to Reese Olsen, is he that much better than Josiah Gray? And he's getting double the ownership. The answer is probably not. 26% chance of being a top 2 pitcher for Gray. Again, 33% for Olsen. So I think that's the spot where in your larger field tournaments, if you just turn some Olsen into Gray for the ownership, that's perfectly fine. Obviously, Gray is not likely to do very well, but hitting's still really hard. You can still get, unexpected good games. So don't mind taking some shots at him in tournaments. The Padres offense obviously looks pretty good as well. They are coming in 4th in top stack percentage, 4th in ownership. You have a Coors game that we haven't gotten to that's pulling all the ownership. So Padres kind of similar to the Dodgers where they're not the best stacks because you do have Coors, but that's also driving down their ownership a bit.
Okay. So we got a question from Bossbra. Is BetPro with premium or which package? It is its own package. Maybe there's other packages that it can be a part of as well, but you can get BetPro for the link that I just put into chat is for weekly, but you can get an introductory trial month at $24.95 for your first 30 days, and then it will recur at $29.95 for a weekly subscription or a $99.95 monthly subscription. The link that I just put into YouTube chat should work for either of those, I believe. Okay, so this one is just for the weekly package, the one that I just put into chat. But yeah, it's its own package, so you just get BetPro as a standalone product here. I just put that into chat. The link to get it for $24.95 for your first month, then it'll be $29.95 per week after that. Fantastic deal if you are betting regularly, doing some sports betting. All right, any interest in a Juan Soto revenge game? You playing any bats in this game?
He launched one last night that cost me a little bit of money, but yeah, I mean the Padres look fine. I talked about it a little bit, but Gray's been much better at limiting power this year than he has in the past. 151 expected ISO to lefties. That used to be a really big weakness for him. Righties 179. So it's not like he's completely eliminated it, but it has also caused his strikeout percentage to drop a bit. He has a cutter that he wasn't throwing before. So yes, the Padres look good. Not as good as they probably would if this were last season, but yeah, they still look like a pretty good offense. As far as the Nats go, they're not getting much ownership. I think they're probably a team you use more so as like filler with 2-man and 3-man stacks.
All right. How would you rank the four sides of the game?
Padres, Gray, Nats.
Okay. Yeah, right. You can't play that. I was waiting for you to say the last part of it, and then I never remembered. There is no last part. Nice Kevin says Morel's birthday today. Who's Morel?
He plays for the Cubs.
Okay. It's like I don't see him anywhere. All right. Final game of this early slate, kind of an important one to talk about because it is in Coors Field. We've got Los Angeles at Colorado. Griffin Canning on the mound for the Angels. Chase Anderson for the Rockies. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
A little bit in Canning. 22% strikeout percentage this year, $7,800, getting 12% ownership. On a normal size slate, obviously you're just ignoring him. But again, like you have 3 times the ownership coming into Olsen for $900 less. You have Blanco getting more ownership. You have Gray in the same price range, getting close to double the ownership. Obviously it's a very tough park to pitch in, but the Rockies do suck. So there's that. Like the Rockies have a 5.6 implied run total. Padres are at 5.2. Dodgers are at 5.1. It's not like any of this is that different. And Griffin Canning's not a bad pitcher. 22% strikeout percentage, 4.2 xFIP this year. I do have some interest in him at the low ownership. Chase Anderson, I think it's more difficult to make a case for. He's getting no ownership at all. And if you wanted to just say, hey, stuff happens, sure. But, there at least you do have the Angels with a near 7 implied run total, just looking like a totally different offense than every other team on the slate.
I know Greg had interest last night. Was it Pablo Sandoval? Was he on the mound yesterday for
Patrick Sandoval? Yeah.
Patrick Sandoval was on the mound. Yeah, I guess it didn't work out. I was just looking. I was like, I don't feel like the Rockies did much, but I guess they ended up putting up 7 runs.
Yeah, they hit a grand slam late, but Sandoval just didn't get strikeouts either. But yeah, Sandoval, yeah. I think he was showing up for Greg. I know when I did my Sims video early in the day yesterday, he was showing up. Fortunately for me, I ended up not actually getting to him, but he was. It was a similar type play yesterday where,
right.
Except for like yesterday, obviously it was a much larger slate, but it was a similar play where it's just like, okay, well, is he really that much worse than these other cheap guys people are going to play?
Right. It seemed like a sharp play to me. I didn't get to any because I ran the Sims and I didn't get to any in my crunches, but definitely follow the reasoning. And here in particular, even on a shorter slate, makes it even more interesting. How much interest do you have in the bats in Coors?
I mean, all of it. The only question is just, are you able to end up making lineups that are still different somewhere? And I think that's where Griffin Canning comes into play. Obviously not in your core stat or in your Rocky stacks, but like in your Angel stacks, he can help out. Maybe turning, if you are going to the Angels and Rockies, maybe turning some of that Olsen into Josiah Gray and Blanco makes sense. So mixing in Nats bats as 2-man stuff like that, where you can get to lower own bats. But yeah, obviously a ton of interest here. Mickey Moniak's cheap at 4,300. He'll most likely be leading off. Ohtani and Trout are expensive. Obviously, they deserve that. Everybody else in the lineup is $5K or less. So second game of the series, once again, prices haven't really moved. They look great. On the other side, the Rockies, clearly you're not going to be there's not the same name value. There's not as many good hitters that you can point to and say, hey, this is a really good play, but they're still cheap. The most expensive hitter in the Rockies projected lineup is Diaz at 4,400. Or no, McMahon at 4,800, then Diaz at 4,400. Canning is solid, but it's not like he's elite or anything. Certainly don't mind getting to either side of this game.
Are you playing any bats versus pitchers on this slate?
I doubt it.
Okay. I mean, it seems like a spot where, like, if you want to play Griffin Canning, maybe you could play a Rockies bat also. But yeah, I mean, it is 4 games. It's not 3 games. I know you said that you're leaning more towards, like, you've been playing fewer bats versus your pitcher recently. Like, you've kind of gotten away from it some on like 4-game slates. So it's is that just a hard rule for you?
I've only been doing 1 on 3s, and the reason was just like, it's not that it's horrible. I don't think it was really just I had been on 3-game slates. I had been doing max 2. And then there was a slate where lineups came out late and I had to like manually late swap a ton of stuff. And I was just realizing like how many lineups I had where I had like 2 hitters against my pitcher and could just play a completely comparable different hitter that wasn't facing one of my pitchers. And it was like, all right, even though it's 3 games, like the combinations are still there to just not do this. And so I've stopped doing it as much.
Okay. How would you rank the 4 sides of this game?
Angels, Rockies, Canning, Anderson.
Jake Swales, why is Capri Sun so damn good? Yeah, it's probably been.
They still make that?
Yeah, it's probably in 2 decades at least since I've had a Capri Sun. I did love it back. Maybe I probably would still love it. It'd probably still be delicious, but
Yeah,
have not had
I
one.
don't know. I don't know if I don't like sweet stuff that much.
Okay.
But I did like it when I was a kid. I do also remember the anxiety of like you would go to like open it at lunch and you're like, all right, am I gonna be the asshole that accidentally puts the straw all the way through and like it goes everywhere? Or
Right. Yeah. I like sweet drinks, I think. I like savory food with sweet drinks. I also like hot food with cold drinks. I don't know. I like the kind of
yeah,
contrast of things like that. So probably would still like Capri Sun. All right, we have made it through the main slate as well now, Adam. Who are your 3 favorite stacks on the main slate?
Angels, Rockies, Dodgers.
Sportswiz says wild cherry is the best flavor. Baldy the O says cosmic brownies at lunch are great. I don't know what a cosmic brownie is. Is that a weed brownie? I bet it's not a weed brownie. Yeah, cold brew milk coffee. Steven, so I love, again, it's like I love cold brew if I have like a hot like egg breakfast, but I don't love it like with cereal. I have weird tendencies like that, I guess. I mean, I'm not very picky, but all right. Who are your 3 favorite pitchers on this main slate?
Lopez, Miller. I think Olsen projects as the third as the best value option, but I kind of the theme of the whole breakdown was that that's the spot where I think there's just a lot of pivots. I don't think Olsen is that much better. He's better, but I don't think he's that much better than the Blanco Gray Canning group. So I mean, it's Lopez, Miller, Olsen, but again, I think that SP2 spot's a spot to pivot.
Okay. I see Nice Kevin says that he's the same way as me, likes hot with cold, cold with hot. Yeah, I'm glad to see that I'm not the only weirdo who likes like cold drinks with hot food. And maybe the opposite as well. No, yeah, to some extent. I don't know. A lot of people throwing out other stuff that they like. Yeah, there's a lot of good foods out there. Oh, Scott Rotter. This is the comment I want to get to. Checking in late. Who is the confirmed pitcher in San Diego? It's somebody who's not on the slate. So
I don't know that he's even been confirmed.
okay. So maybe we don't even have a confirmed San Diego pitcher yet. All right. On the main slate, who is your home run pick?
Can't go to Coors, so I'll go with Mookie.
I'm looking at the top batters tool. Our top 5 bats in terms of home run odds on this slate are all from the Angels. Then it's Fernando Tatis, and then it's Brandon Drury. Oh, I guess I have Shohei Ohtani in there first. So I guess twice because he's 2 different positions. So I guess it's top 4 bats are all are all on the Angels. Then Fernando Tatis. Then it's back to Brandon Drury as well. Crazy to see how high. Over a 50% chance of hitting a home run for Mike Trout. I've never seen that. Over a 50% chance of hitting a home run, according to the top bats tool. But we can't go there. So I'm going to, of course, just go to Fernando Tatis. Worked out yesterday, Adam. I took Rafael Devers was top of the board in the top batters tool, and he hit a home run for me. So
nice. There you go.
Hopefully I'll get on a streak just using the top batters tool. All right. Does anybody? I think we've made it through the show good enough. You're probably wanting to go. Has a fight ended yet in the MMA slate?
No, it's going to round 3 of the first fight.
All right. So hopefully you guys got your MMA lineups in on time. Hopefully you have time to get your MLB lineups in today. We have made it through. Yeah, Matt Waldron is the name. Matt says, who appears to be starting. All right, we've made it to the end. Adam, any final words?
Good luck. Enjoy your weekend.
And a reminder, go check out the now that we're at the end of this show, do go check out our fantasy football channel. I actually just got a video out. It was just posted this morning. My favorite and least favorite names to click for late round running backs. I just put on that channel just an 8-minute video talking about some late round running backs for Best Ball Mania 4, Underdog's Best Ball Mania 4. Go check out that channel if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe. And if you haven't hit the like button, guys, please do so. I know I forget to ask several times throughout the show, but really helps out a lot if you do hit that like button. We would appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck today.